Hello and welcome back. This is the Clay Golem. This is Foundry VTT. This is Curse of Strahd. And we're continuing with building Curse of Strahd. So it's been a hot minute, hasn't it? This time of year is really busy for me with all sorts of things. The run up to Christmas, work is busy, etc. I am still here. I am still doing stuff. Just obviously videos have dropped off a fair bit recently over the past, well, probably about 2 months really. Still here though. Still doing it. Okay, need to carry on building Curse of Strahd. I'm aware people are running this module and it's not ready. Well, it's not finished. So we are on to Arc I, which is the walls of Krezk, which is the last arc in the whole of Act 2, which is fantastic. So we can make a good move to finish this off. Now this is all about trying to go to the town of Krezk, not being able to get in, being sent off to the ruins of a different village called Berez, where they encounter the Baba Lysaga's walking hut, which is a lovely little encounter, before coming back and getting access to the village, back to the town of Krezk. So what do we do? There is a number of encounter areas, so it's quite a busy one from a scene's point of view. So they leave Vallaki and they will come across the bridge, across the Luna River. So we've seen this scene before. And then they get to the crossroads. Now they've been here before on the way to Van Richten's tower. So in theory, this is quite familiar to them. So I just wanted to reuse those maps to remind them that they have been here, a bit of familiarity, and they'll come back to this crossroads again. Now, when they come previously, they come from the bottom right and they go top right off towards the tower, or they can go straight on and go to the tower that way, but chances are they go first right. The town they're going to now is off to the top left and beyond that tower. So next from there, so we don't need to do anything with that one, and all I've done is bringing the maps in and done walls and things like that. So if I just show you this one, you can see I've just put some walls in there. You've seen me do walls hundreds of times, badly, about 88% of the time. And you've seen me build scenes, so I didn't want to spend hours, and in fairness, yesterday I did do a long video about putting all these scenes together, and then hideous things went wrong. Foundry pooed its pants and did something very weird, and I was having all sorts of little trouble, so I just binned the whole lot and thought, well, you probably don't want to watch that anyway. Okay, so this is on the road to here. Now there are some encounters along the road here. It talks about going past a mansion that they haven't been to, past the ways of going to Van Richten's tower, which they probably have been to, and then they get to this bit, which is the Raven River crossroads. Now it says here in the book about the fact that there is a revenant clustered here. Clustered? There's a revenant standing here. Now if you remember, we had this before. We had another revenant somewhere else on a different bridge. This is not the same revenant. This is a different dude. So we're going to slap him in the middle there. And it is not supposed to be a combat. It's a conversational piece. So I'm just going to pop him down there. Now what I have been doing for a lot of these, where have you gone? I've lost her already. Come on, darling, where are you? Muriel. So Muriel, certainly for my party, has been following them everywhere. So I'm making sure I am making Muriel available in most of the scenes in various places, because she's just mostly following them and watching them. What my party don't know is that Muriel is and hopefully none of my players are watching this, going to give it away. Muriel is actually a were-raven, and she's effectively a spy, not for Strahd. She's not one of the bad guys, but she's keeping an eye on them. We have a druid in the party, and the druid thinks it's made a friend, not realizing that yes, you have made a friend, but it was going to be there anyway. So it's worked really, really nicely. So I've been dotting in the maps Muriel around in various little places, almost like a Spot the Muriel. Like Where's Wally, Where's Waldo is in the US, isn't it? Kind of thing. So can they spot and realise that actually in most scenes she is somewhere nearby watching them. And the druid thinks that's because they're friends, but actually she was going to be kind of doing that anyway. So I am popping Muriel all over the place. Now there's not a lot to go on here apart from some role play. So we don't need to worry about doing anything else with this scene. You guys will have to prep that. Then they get to, so they head up into the mountains where it's starting to snow. So I've created these scenes with some snow appropriately. Again, this is all Aeon Bars maps that we're using wherever possible. And actually the map is absolutely beautiful. And then when you add the Foundry snow on top, it is great. So what actually happens here? Well, first of all, they are not getting in. They are going to be stopped at the gates. And each of these towers, I'm wondering actually... can I... If I hide that, you can see there's actually towers here, and they're supposed to be kind of guards. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the towers roofs visible, because the players are not getting past this gate at this point, not unless they do something really scary. But there are some guards and there are some scouts. Now I've just pulled in the default scouts here. They're not supposed to have a fight with them, but I don't want these images for it. So I am going to change some of these images for our people. We're going to not use any of that. Thank you very much. We're going to go to the modules, because obviously I need to make sure I save these in the Curse of Strahd module. I'm creating a new folder for this. Don't ask. If you're thinking, hang on a minute, what are you doing? You're doing something different to what you've done in previous videos with regard to where you're saving those. Don't worry, I'm just reorganizing a few bits and bobs. And I've got a whole bunch of files here that I've been preparing for this. Let's show these as extra large icons so we can see. I have made some new images for a couple of these, just so that we've got something that looks it's a bit more on theme with what we're doing, especially when they're just to look at rather than to engage with. There we go. So I've got a couple of snowy archers specifically to use for this. So I'm going to slap one of them on the gates there, and I'm going to slap one of them up here as well. Looking at that, they're a bit small, aren't they? I'm going to make those bigger. Am I happy with the scaling of this map? I mean, apart from the fact that they're turning, they won't turn for you. It's because I've got the token directions on. I think I need to... It's more of a role-playing scene than anything else. So I am actually going to change that grid size. Won't do it. They're a bit more visible now. Right, okay, that's annoying. I want to, because I've got multiple of them, I want to make sure under appearance, global default is... I want that off for enable rotate for mine. Okay, or otherwise that's just going to drive me up the wall. And yes, I know I can update those, etc., but because I've got multiple of them, it's easier just to pull out new versions of them. There we go. So we've got a couple of archers there outside the towers. I do need to, because I've changed it, just make sure that my walls are in the right place, which they are. It hasn't messed with that, because I only changed the scaling of the grid. I didn't actually change the map, and I didn't move the grid itself, so that was nice and easy. It hasn't stuffed up my walls. There's also plenty of guards around here, so apart from the archers we need some guards. So these are the standard D&D guards that come with it. Again, top down piggies. I don't want those. I got special ones because, you know, I like things to look pretty, and I like to use my own images where I can. There we go. We've got some guards in the snow. I just called them snow guards because, you know, I'm really inventive with names. Again, want to make sure we change the tokens as well as the portraits. So back into actor images. There we go. Guard, snow, lovely jubbly. While I am here, I'm going to turn off that rotate. Thank you very much. Do it the right way around this time. And then I can slap some guards out there. Because what I didn't want is like standard guards standing around in armour in the snow looking like normal guards. Yeah? Because that doesn't make any sense. So I'm just slapping out some here. Now there is also a... what's his name? His name is Baron Dmitry Krezkov, who is the, well, he's the Baron, he's the burgomaster of this place, and he will speak to them about not being able to come in. So I do need him, and I haven't got him yet. So let's just, I will clone, or duplicate, sorry, to use the correct term, and I'm going to rename this person. Their full name was, what did I say, Baron Dmitry Krezk. There we go. Okay, so this is how you're going to be, and obviously I want to change this image, and you've already seen I have got my own image to use for the Baron. And again, generating images specifically so it fits in with the rest of the scene. You know, they're wrapped up against the cold. They're not just standing there in their, you know, in their beach gear, because I don't think I've seen any of the default actors in Foundry for D&D, or even in the Player's Handbook where they're, in the DMG where they're in their beach gear. But there we go. So we can slap those in. He can come along and talk to the players and tell them to stuff off until they've gone and done another mission for him before they let them in. Now, there is a chance that the party may have already been to the Wizard of Wines and cleared that, in which case he will let them in immediately. It's unlikely, certainly for my party, the way they're going, it's unlikely they will have done that first. I'm expecting them to arrive and be turned away. And that's all we need for this, is another kind of roleplay-y scene, talky. So from here they are sent off to the ruins of the village Berez, and on the way back there they come past, yes, again, so they're back at this point, at this junction, but this time there is an encounter that they have. So first of all, what I need to do is I'm going to create my words. Words are hard. Words are really hard. I don't want to do that. I am going to put it in actor images because that makes sense now. I want to put this needled wolf in. Now, you might wonder, what the heck are you doing with this? So when they come back, I know they haven't been going that long, but they find the corpse of a wolf. There we go. They find the corpse of a wolf which has been killed by hundreds of small needly spikes. So I'm going to pop that down there. This is where they're going to be going next. They're going to head down this road here towards Berez. So they're heading off to the bottom left. So I'm going to stick that down there for them. And actually what is happening at this time is there is a horde of they needle blights, aren't they? Needle blights are moving from one place to the other. So how many does it actually say? So it talks about, yeah, get my scaling a bit better on these. Oh, my needle blights are turning as well. These are things I often do off camera. And again, you don't need to have the auto rotate in for this at all. It's not it's not compulsory for you to run my Curse of Strahd pack. What is wrong with me today? Can you tell I've been busy? My brain's all over the place. You don't need to have it in, but I like to keep some of those mods that I actually use in there anyway, which means I'm having to do stuff. What was that? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 of them. I like to keep those mods on because I'm actually running this, of course, for my party. So I'm going to hide those from the party. I am going to adjust the size of my wolf here. And again, I'm just looking at this. Now I've got actors on here. I mean, how wide is that road? That's ridiculous, isn't it? So I think, again, I'm going to... It looks like I changed the grid size, and maybe that was the mistake. I shouldn't have done that. Because, whoops, don't do that. Because even with these guys all on here, there we go, just move them all, stop them standing over each other. That's perfectly reasonable size. It means I can make this wolf... Is that too big? Is that too big? I want to make sure my player. I'm going to leave it that big, even though it is large. I want my players to be able to see it, you know, and actually see the image, so it's not too tiny for them. So yeah, the players come along here. They encounter this dead wolf, this fresh corpse of an enormous wolf, easily the size of an elk. So I think that scaling probably is fine. Lace blade in the centre of the road. Let's move it slightly. Just because when I read the description and say in the centre of the road, if it's not in the centre of the road, at least one of my players will point out the fact it's not in the centre of the road. Because you know what players are like, yeah, they like to mess with us. And maybe we'll turn it a bit. 25, 35 maybe. Yeah, that'll do. Will do. And I'm going to just fade it slightly. There we go. So we can stick him. He's in the middle of the road now. That will do very nicely. And then it talks about suddenly a flurry of black feathers erupts from the trees to the north as a flock of ravens takes to the skies. Not 100 yards from the edge of the road, the panicked cries echoing in the chilled air. And this is where the needle blights start to wander across the road, and they're only migratory. They're not out to attack. Of course, they will defend themselves, and it says specifically that the players can choose to battle with them, or they can hide in the thickets and avoid detection. It doesn't matter. It's more about the fact that, hang on a minute, where are that lot off to? And it builds into part of the other story. So that scene's done. Because I've done most of the building bits, it's really not too difficult. We now have the... you'll also notice I turned the mist off of that because it's slightly nicer when there's combat. But we've got fog back here. I couldn't find... Aeon Bar doesn't appear to have a map for the Lunar River path. So I had a fiddle around and I decided to use this one. Let me turn the fog off for this for the moment, just because it makes life easier for you guys to see what's happening. There we go. So I decided to use this map with its trees and stuff. It's absolutely fine. The river's just down one side here, not quite on screen. I'm happy with that. Now, if you're wondering why it selected a tile, because I've got an overlaid tile with the treetops on the basic map. Now here, as they're wandering down here, it talks about there being a large slab of rock with an engraving on. Again, this is very much about just filling in some details and stuff. It doesn't want me to put a tile over the tile. So I need to put an image in on this one. So I'm going to pop it in here and let's choose that. And I did find a rock slab that I'm going to use for that. There we go. Bring that in. Thank you very much. So what I thought I would do is it's a rock slab. It's a bit like an altar. I'm just going to make that a bit larger, and I thought I would slap that over the top of that campsite. There we go. That campsite disappears now because I don't want that campsite. Just by layering maps, you can do that nice and easily. Suddenly there's no campsite there. There is this large rock. Now, does it say anything else about it? So leaving the crossroads behind, blah 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 blah. It talks about, so in theory, this is kind of like this rock is on an outcrop that sticks out into the river. But because I couldn't find that map, I will be changing my description for it. So bear in mind, if you're running this, you know, you do need to prep. You kind of go, hang on a minute, why is Clay Golem's map completely different from what the module says? Well, it's because it's the best I can do. Swap it out for a map of your choice, or just change the description, which is what I'm going to do. Not far from the road, a small peninsula juts out into the river. There we go, that's the description. Stands a mossy stone slab, just under 6 feet height. It rests on an old cracked stone circle. It seems to bear some kind of carving. So I'm just slapping this down as a big rock that has a carving on it. It doesn't really do anything. It's got a carving of a spider over an engraved 3-pointed star. Now I can describe that. I don't need to put that actually on the map. I'm going to give them description. They can see that there's a big boulder there. They can choose to go and walk over and have a look at it or not. That's absolutely fine. Now, the only other thing that happens here is a little bit further on in the description. It talks about the greater Strix. Now, the module suggests that they might be able to fight it. I'm not going to have my party fighting the greater Strix at this point. I don't think that combat would add anything to this part of the adventure. If they really want to fight it, they'll have a chance when they actually get to the ruins of Berez. But you know, seeing it fly off is important little storyline segment, but fighting it at that point, nah, not going to help. So we continue along there until we reach the ruins of Berez. So I've got this map in here. I just need to, excuse me a second, because what I didn't do is put the fog back on. So I'm going to put the fog back on there. And for this one, I'm going to turn the fog off again, just for you guys. It makes it a bit easier for you to see what's going on here. Now, again, while there were Aeon bars got plenty of maps for around this area, I couldn't find one for the village itself, which is a bit bizarre. So here is another free one. Just zoom in here just to make sure we're giving appropriate stuff. While it says Patreon DM Andy, it's free. Okay, this is not a cost associated with it, so I'm not taking paid content and giving it away free or anything like that. So DM Andy has done a really nice map here. Yes, it's a slightly different feel to the Aeon Bar ones, but my players won't care. They won't. It's not that much different to make a, you know, I haven't gone to black and white or in pen and ink or anything like that. So that's fine. So many thanks to DM Andy for creating some of these maps and stuff, which is absolutely lovely jubbly. Now, I did do some interesting things on here, as you can see by all the green squiggles. So when they come into the ruins of this village, what they're after is they're heading towards this bit over here, which is the Baba Lysaga's hut. What I didn't want is they come on here and they can instantly see it. So I've just slapped in a whole bunch of terrain walls here. Now, if you're not sure, the way terrain walls work is you can see past the first terrain wall, but you can't see past the second one. So where we've got thick bushes and things, and that's why it's such a spider web of different walls here, it means my players standing over here, they can see into the bushes, but they can't see all the way through. And as they come down the side here, they can see into the bushes, but they can't see all the way through. So if they move in, then yeah, they can start to see through those bushes if they choose to go through them. I just didn't want them seeing the entire map and going, oh, what's that? You know, I wanted them to move in that direction and kind of explore a bit before they got there. So what actually happens here? So it talks about the fact that, I mean, it's a ruined village. There's not a lot here. Differing from the original module, there are some scarecrows, but it does only say there's 2 of them. Do you remember our scarecrows we had before? Okay, so this was Drazimo's scarecrow images that we used. There's going to be 2 of those. And it says, before the trail splits to form a soggy path, where does it say? Where does it say scarecrows? 2 old scarecrows lashed to wooden posts flank the trail here, their burlap faces seeming to leer into the mists behind you. So I'm going to... which path does it talk about? I'm sorry. So it talks about like along here. So I'm going to pop that one there, and I'm going to pop that one there. Now, they've encountered scarecrows before, so they're instantly going to be quite, potentially, quite scared of them. It then talks about as they approach towards the hut. So they're not necessarily going to do anything. Okay, right now, they're not. They are guards, sort of, but they are, for all intents and purposes, just completely normal scarecrows. Yeah, right. One of the players is going to go up and start burning them immediately. If they got any sense, not a bad thing to do. Okay, so it also says the 2 scarecrows are described, blah, blah, blah. Yep, no problem at all. If the greater Strix that we mentioned about that flew off, if it has successfully alerted Baba Lysaga, who is living in the hut, a woman's silhouette emerges from the swirling mist. So I need a person, and I've already got that person, who is technically a witch. I'm not using... I hate some of these icons. I don't like them at all. So this is the individual, Wesenica. I don't know. Sometimes it's really tough to actually say some of these names. So, oh, I don't want... wrong module, you muppet. I want to come into here. I'm going to go to my my actor images, and I have got an image for you as well. I mean, yes, I know, it's very stereotypical witch looking like, but in fairness, that's what it's supposed to be in this particular situation. So I'm not worried about that being very stereotypical, because it is, in the same way that Strahd is very very stereotypical classic vampire looking, isn't he? You know, it's like that. That's kind of the point. So she will appear somewhere around here. I'm going to hide her for now because they're not going to see her immediately. So she's hidden. Players won't see her. They will see the scarecrows. And it talks about, so she will encounter them. Now it says a light flashes amid the fog beyond the scarecrows. So perhaps move her a little bit closer. She's turning. I really ought to have the global default off. Thank you very much. There we go. Now I can move her. She doesn't whizzle around. They're going to turn. They're not going to turn because I did those previously. Right, so I'm going to leave her hidden. Okay. There we go. Now what I could do, of course, is I could slap a light down here. Oops. Give me this. I want to make this a bright white light. There we go. Illumination, I could make it torch, make it super fast, make it super intense. Now we did this with lightning. If you remember, we did lightning. We used a button to turn it on and then turn it off. We could absolutely do that if we wanted to. Instead, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go... That's it. That's what I'm going to do as the DM. Just double right click. Job done. Now, I might want to make that kind of bigger. It is super bright, but that is how I want it. I'm going to make that. In fact, actually, let's see how that looks. I'm going to make that brightness actually much smaller, I think. I like that. That's how I'm going to do that. Because, yeah, we can create all the buttons and everything else. And, yes, sometimes that's really, really nice for, like, the lightning when I want to use it repeatedly. Sometimes it's easy just to... It's just... Is that me being lazy? Is that really being me being... Leave a comment. If that's me being lazy and you want me to put a actual button in to do that, just let me know and I will, okay? Yeah, not professional at all. Okay. So then it goes on, so they can explore this area and things. So there's a number of areas here that have separate scenes that are broken down. So like the hut itself, these ruins over here, the ruins of the church and things. Now in theory they don't actually go and explore much of that except this goat pen down here. But Aeon Bar, weirdly enough, Aeon Bar hasn't got a map for this, but has got for things like the hut and things like that. So I've put in the goat pen, which the players are supposed to go to retrieve some goats. So I have got some goats, and I'm going to slap some goats in here randomly for this. I think it says there's like 6 of them or something like that. Now what the players don't know is these are not any ordinary goats. These are actually people that have been turned into goats rather than anything else. There we go. Just make them face a few different directions because they're not all going to face the same direction, are they? So that scene's kind of done. Again, it's a bit of a role-playing scene. Now, the reason why I wanted to use Aeon Bar's map for this is you could very easily role-play and they go up to the pen and they do the thing to go into the pen and they grab a goat and then they leave and they take it back to her. And you don't need to use a map for that. But I wanted to use a map for it because I thought I'm going to turn this into a little bit of a mini-game of the players attempting to catch these goats. Because these goats are not actually goats, they're polymorphed people, they're basically prisoners that have been polymorphed, they know what's going to happen. So they are going to be trying to evade as much as possible. Going to turn it into a mini game. It'll be a bit of a laugh, something a bit different to break it up as they chase these silly goats around all over the place. I do want to turn off the grid. There we go. So yeah, they can have fun playing with the goats. I'm going to get them to, you know, potentially using grappling checks and athletics checks and all sorts of things like that, depending how they choose to role play. Of course, if they're using magic to capture them, they will absolutely be able to do that. I'm not going to penalise them for using their brains at all. I'm coming back to Lysaga hut, in case you're wondering. We also have the monument here. So this is just, I've got this as rain, because originally I was going to do this swamp as rain, but all the descriptions talk about it being foggy, and it was like, oh, okay, I won't make the swamp rain. So apologies, that's good useful going through these, because yeah, obviously that would be weird going from one to the other. Now, what we need to bear in mind is that they probably won't come here at all, but if they do, in the original module it talks about what happens here. So I've just got that in the other area, and this is at the monument, and it talks about yeah, so this is one of the potential place they find one of the gosh, what's it called, one of the relics, the Ravenloft relics. But there are a bunch of walking corpses here. 7 distended human corpses. Now I've just used zombies for this. They are, I've called them walking corpses in my thing, so I know what they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they are going to, and I'm going to give them a bit of distance here. I mean, it talks about them being commoners and things like that, and then make this adjustment to them, and then this adjustment to them, and it's like, so you want me to change their speed and give them the same stats as a zombie would have, or same resistances and stuff. Why don't I just use zombies? It just makes more sense. And obviously I'm going to hide these, because these are not going to be visible to the players at once. It's only if they disturb it. Now, what is interesting about these zombies, these walking corpses, is when they die, they kind of sort of explode into poisonous snakes that burst forth from them. How many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to pop those on there. So rather than zombies that have that ability to kind of just get up again, when these die, these poisonous snakes, swarm of poisonous snakes, wriggle out of the bodies and carry on the fight. So I'm popping them there so that when any one of these dies, I can literally go whack delete on that token and smack one of these in its place. Because that's the quickest and easiest way for the party to kind of go, oh my god, it's, you know, this is what's happened. Obviously I will be describing that for them as well. So that's nice and easy. That's all we need here. That's it. So a lot of these are really, really quite simple. I'm coming back to Lysaga's hut, as I said. The standing stones. Now, this does talk specifically about Muriel. We mentioned her before. It talks about these dozens of... Now, it talks about... is this... Because there's a couple of different areas of standing stones, and it gets slightly confusing, because this is the standing stones, and it talks about moss covered, weathered stones, range from height, but somewhere else it was talking about the fact that, right, hang on, let me read this. So suddenly it's giving me a bit of background. Muriel hanging around, prefers to lurk on the outskirts, yes. If they speak to Muriel, warns about the dangers of Berez, and arms with the following information, blah, 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 blah. So they don't, in the original module, the standing stones are pretty pointless. Sorry to put that out there, but they are. But in Dragna Carter's Strahd Reloaded, which of course is what we're following, has actually done something a bit interesting with it. And this is all overgrown with webs and things. So I need to be grabbing some tiles and getting some webs in. Now, where am I going to pull my webs in from? So do I want to do in here? Let's pull it in a whole bunch of webs. Now, I'm not going to pull them in from here because I do have, because I've downloaded it, the Forgotten Adventures. Now, is in the map making pack. Where did I put it? Natural decor. Is it in natural decor? Webs. Yes, it is. And if we look at cobwebs, they've got hundreds of them. So we're going to pull some of these in because it talks about these stones being covered in cobwebs. And some of these images are just, well, they're just gorgeous. Look, 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 you know. They're just perfect for this. So we can make some of these particularly large. We might want to change the angle on that a bit. Maybe in 15. Yep. And just by angling some of these webs, we can actually start to web this place up a bit. Now, obviously, I don't want to have millions of images. I can certainly reuse some of these images. 270 is going to give me that way round. That's fine. We can bring that down and slap that between these two rocks down here. But we want to put a whole bunch of webs in here because that's the thing, right? Jesus, I can't English. So let's use that one. That will do. And I could spend hours using exactly the right one in the right place and all of that. I think you guys know by now that I'm perhaps a bit too lazy to be doing that. And again, just by going in and editing the rotation in degrees, let's go 110. We can come and put some of these things in where we want to. Ugh. Ugh. Well, now that's completely the wrong direction, isn't it? Will that fit somewhere very convenient? Yes, it will. That's better. You know, so we can just start stringing some of these webs and bits up like this. I'm just going to spend a few minutes picking these bits up, slapping some gorgeous webs in. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do that. What other webs have we got? This one. This is a beauty. It's a beauty. Yeah, so we can come and stick that down, give it a bit of an angle. What? No, maybe. $350 maybe. Yeah, that's pretty good. So we can slap that one in over here. We can then copy and paste it. We can then make it much bigger. We can then change the angle some more. What way was it first of all? So if we make it 90, it's going to be that way round. We can absolutely use that and stick it down here. So we can build webs upon webs upon webs, and just do it like that, which is pretty darn groovy. Just by changing the size of them and things, you start to get away with people not realizing that actually it's the same image you're using repeatedly. There we go, overlaying them and things like that. In fact, let's have that original one. We're going to make that a bit bigger. We're going to make that 180, put it around the other way. Lovely. And we can come and stick this one down here. And you can see that's not quite what I want. 190. 200, I think. It's probably 200 is good. And just by laying up, changing the sizes and things like that, we're starting to get more and more webs. Now, I could carry on and just do absolutely tons of them, but I'm only going to do a couple more. Let's bring in a new flavor of web for this. Like this one here, perhaps. Let's bring in this one. And we're going to try sticking this one up this side. So 90 degrees. Yeah, that's pretty good. We can make that significantly bigger. Perhaps not that big. Yeah, we can come and stick that in there. And again, just copy and paste it. Oops, move the wrong one, of course. Always moving the wrong one. In fact, actually, that one, if I rotate that more, we can move that, and that can be sticking between those bits. That's not right, is it? That's not right at all. That will do. That will do. That's much better. So yeah, we could just stick these bits all over the place, and then they just start to look as if they are part of it. Let's make that smaller, that one. I want to make it long. Nope, I want to make it wide, because when it turns it, that's better. We can stick that in there. So this gives us a really good impression of the fact that this is nice and webbed up. And what is actually here is a phase spider. Now, there is only one phase spider initially that pops in, and then it comes back with 5 additional phase spiders. So depending on your party, adjusts to suit, right? Because that many phase spiders. Yep, of course they're going to turn. That many phase spiders is actually really quite scary, depending on your party, obviously. So I'm going to pop them on there, but you make that judgment call of how many you think you should be bringing in. So obviously I'm going to try and put these kind of around where the webs are, which makes much more sense. How many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to leave it as that. I'm going to move you up into that one there. And then, of course, I'm going to hide these. And you can put something in the middle here if you want to entice the party to go and look in the middle of the circle. You know, it could be anything you want. It could be an old abandoned book just lying there, because somebody's going to want to go and find out what it says and go and read it, right? Suckers. So we can do that. All right, so what else have we got? So the churchyard is in here. We don't need to. It's also raining. There we go. We've got the churchyard in here. There's nothing here. There really isn't any point in coming to the churchyard, I don't think. Dragna Carta doesn't even bother covering it. When we look in the original module, it just gives a description. Nothing here. But if they want to go look, well, now you've got a map for it. Similar with the mansion, which it's also raining on. So I wanted to use rain, but I know I'm going to fall over the descriptions, which, you know, and then they don't match for you guys and everything else. So in the mansion itself, I don't think there was anything. Right, so in the original module, it talks about there being a ghost here, blah, 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 blah. In Dragna Carta's version, they've removed the ghost entirely. So again, nothing to see here. Nothing to see. If I go back to the approach to the ruins, all of those things are on here. This is the church. That's the mansion ruins? Yeah, great. Go and have a poke around. This is the goat pen down here. And this is the standing stones that are all the way over the other side of the map. And this map by DM Andy is it's true to, it's his interpretation of the module 1 here. So the only one we really got left is Baba Lugosi. I keep wanting to say Bella Lugosi. Baba Lysaga's hut, which is this beast. Now, this is the whole reason why they have come here. So excuse my screen flickering as I'm just bringing up the right thing in the other window. So what is this about? So again, mostly this is role play from a point of view of they, in theory, shouldn't have a fight, but they very well may do. And they coming into this hut to basically negotiate and get some. So they want her to do a scrying spell for them. The Baron of Krezk, whatever his name is. Krezk, what's it called? Krezk. Jeez. Amazing, isn't it? My own ability to speak. Yeah, so the idea is he sent them here to bargain with her, to do some scrying, to find out where his son is and gone missing, because she's got the power to scry, and they come here and they bring her a gift, and if all goes well, they go away with their answers after sacrificing a goat, hence the running around in the goat pen. If things don't go well, they potentially will get turned into goats themselves, and then they've got to try to escape from the goat pen. Another reason why it's important to have the goat pen. Okay, so what we actually need here is we need our main enemy here, don't we? Enemy. Yeah, she's an enemy. Absolutely. Right, so we need to create a new monster for this. Now, it doesn't say to base her off of anything, so I'm going to, using my Omni Search, thank you very much, Ripper. I use this all the time. It is amazing. I'm going to use a Barovian Witch. I'm going to slap it in there. Okay, and then we're going to change this one. So first of all, we need to change the name of this individual. Okay, and the reason why I'm using a witch is because essentially she kind of is a witch, but we need a new portrait for her because I'm not using that nonsense. Okay, back into my Curse of Strahd, back into my packs, back into my actor images, and let's find, it wasn't there. Where did I put you? Curse of Strahd. Here we go, and there we go. Lysaga. I have got an image to use for you. And we obviously need to change make sure we change both of them, the portrait as well as the token image for it. I've got into the wrong pack again. There we go. Into my actor images, and there's the correct one there. So she's obviously got lots of powers and abilities way beyond this, so I need to create her as a character for that, but this video is getting long, so I'm not going to do that as part of this video. If you particularly want me to see me building the NPC and creating any abilities and stuff they have, maybe you're fairly new to Foundry and you're going like, how do I create my own creatures? How do I edit them to be what I want? Let me know in the comments and I can do that on screen. If not, if you're all happy, then I will just do it off screen, and no wuckers, mate. Bring back my Aussie slang there. Come on, and then she's in the hut. Now you'll see that she's in the hut and she's rotating everywhere. Thank you very much. Turn off your whizzing around. That's fine. And you'll notice, of course, the roof keeps appearing, reappearing, because I've got that set as an overhead tile. I'm not using levels or wall height. It's the fact that it's an overhead tile, so players can see the roof unless they are looking inside. So when my mouse pointer is fine here, as soon as I move my mouse pointer inside, it reveals what's indoors, and the same for the player characters when they come around here. Now, the interesting thing to get into the hut is on a large stump, and to get up, there is a weird floating skull outside. So I need to not do that. Dear Lord, I need to lock that. Thank you. So this is why in the other one I said about locking the images, because I do that a lot. So let's go back to here, and I need to find my skull. So I'm going to use this skull image here, and I hope it's going to scale the way I need it to. So first of all, it's completely the wrong angle. Of course, I did it the wrong direction. There we go. But I want to make it really, really big. And that is going to sit right there. Oh, it's so annoying when you layer tiles and then you can't get to the one you want. Right, can you move for a second so I can get this one, and then I can lock that one in place. Thank you very much. And now I can move you back. and they'll lock you. There we go. So that's just mostly descriptive, but it acts like steps, which is really weird. So they can just walk up the skull and into the hut itself, which should give a good idea that this place isn't particularly friendly. Then they're going to often do the goats, as I mentioned, bring the goat back. It's going to get sacrificed, etc., assuming everything goes well. And then they are going to be heading back out of here, back towards the village of Krezk again. And on the way back, they have a scene. It's just a cutscene that doesn't do anything, where a ghostly battlefield happens and a whole bunch of ghosts. So this is what I've done for that. So you should be able to hear, hopefully not too loud in the video, but the fact there's a sound of battle there. These horsemen are going to be described, and part way through this scene, while it's being described, there's a dragon roar and a ghostly dragon appears. And then that dragon fades in so that we can see that. So it's a ghostly battlefield. And the roar from dragon going on there. So it's a ghostly battlefield. It's purely descriptive. There's nothing to fight or anything like that. Before they then continue back on their path back towards the village of Krezk, which I haven't got the scene for. So because they're going back to it, we probably need to actually build this scene for when they get back, because they're going to obviously arrive back at the gates. So I'm going to call this scene Gates of Krezk, which they've already been to, but they're coming back to it. So in my scene and maps here, I should have, there we go, I've got gates there, and I can bring this scene in. Whoop. We're down here. So this is back to Aeon Bar's beautiful, beautiful map, and you can see the inside of the towers and stuff. So all we need to do, of course, is slap some walls on here, which is nice and easy to do. They will go through the gates more than likely on this occasion. So I do need to make sure that things make sense this time, because they'll be on the inside going, what? We can bring that across, that across, that across. Lovely. And then, of course, make sure these walls continue to the edge of the map to stop my players doing anything stupid like going, oh, well, it looks like I can walk around, so I will. Because you know what players are like. Let's put that one in there. And we put that one in there. I didn't mean to stretch that one. Meant to be two separate doors. Thank you very much. Door across there. Door across there. Easy peasy. Now I want to put snow back on here, don't I? Back to the snow. I think that effect, that snow effect on the snowy maps is just beautiful. And I do want to create a region because I don't want it to be snowing inside these two towers. So I'm just going to create a region. I'm going to call it interior, because that's what it is. And if I select my walls here for that one, and I go to my shapes and click that, it makes those two interior, which is great. And then my behavior for this is just to suppress weather. In fact, actually, they're not going to go in the towers. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I've lied to you. Not on purpose, but I have lied to you. What I do want to do is I want to put over the top of this. It's going to take a moment to load the tops of the towers, because it's extremely unlikely for them to actually go in the towers. So the chances are they're not going to see. Oh, there we go. Just stop them on. They're not going to see inside the tower. So I need the walls. Are they lined up pretty well? Yeah, they are. Perfect. And then I'm going to lock that in place. So yeah, then they're not going to go inside the walls and things like that. I'm not going to put the top bit on, because they are actually going to go through the gates, and they're going to have a chat. What I do need to do though is, just because they've successfully passed the thing doesn't mean we're not going to have our guards. Now I've got the same issue with the size of the grid here, haven't I? Because I didn't change it, and I think I should do which direction? Yeah, I was going to say that's the wrong way. Make something like that 200, make that a fair bit bigger. There we go. And now our archers actually look more appropriately scaled. We can stick a couple of our guards out just like we did before. And they don't have to be perfect. We can have a couple of guards inside because the Baron is the one who's going to grant them entry. Didn't mean to move you, dude. Sorry. So there we go. That's all ready to go. But again, one of the issues is while we go back through the gates, there's a whole village. There's a whole village before you get to the Abbey. There is the blessed pool that I've got here. But once they're through the gates, there is no map for the actual village itself. And the idea is they go off with the Baron and they have a nice big conversation and everything else. All a bit strange. So what I want to do is I'm going to clone this one here. We've got... Oh, this is what it's doing. Don't get rid of my thumbnail. I'm going to clone this. I'm going to call it the Baron's house. Give me my black background. And I believe I was smart enough. I know. that I actually... Yes, the house. So I have used or rather brought in a house map to use for this. So the Winter Cabin it's called. I don't really mind what it's called. I'm just using it for this scene because they have to go and talk to him at some point. So there we go. So we've got a scene that we can use for them to go and talk to the Baron as part of the village. So we can describe the village, but they can't necessarily walk around it. If they go with the Baron, they're going to end up here. If they go to the Blessed Pool, if I go to this one here, I need to rename that, thank you, and put that back to what it was. And then we're going to pull in the map for the Blessed Pool as well. And you may have noticed that, there we go, the pool and shrine, we've got these maps for this. Now, it does say about ground with snow. It's got, the Shrine of the White Sun ground with snow, the roof, and the roof with snow. So I want the one without because we're going to be using Foundry to do the snow. Oops. There we go. I've got to wait for Ripper's Media Optimizer to finish going. Another one of the critical, for me, a critical module when I'm building. Okay, so we've got this in here. And of course, what we need to make sure we do is make sure we've got the ambience correct. We want to put our snow on. We need to make sure all of these are. Now, I'm not going to do all the walls on this, and I'm not going to do all the walls on the Baron's house in this video, because you've seen me do that so many times. You probably aren't interested in it, and I suspect this video is pretty darn long. And now I've put fog on instead of snow. So obviously for the Baron's place we are going to put walls in. We're going to put that region in so it's not snowing indoors, and we're going to put the Baron in here. There we go, boom, Baron's in there. Probably change the scale of this, although he's the right scale for sitting at those chairs. It makes the place look massive, doesn't it? It's the problem with some of these maps. It's like that is scaled right to be sitting in one of those chairs, but you know, these doorways are kind of like 10 foot wide. You know, they're ridiculous. So I will do things like that. So I've got to finish off these bits here. And then I've got to finish off some of the stuff that happens as part of the Abbey. And it talks about the Blessed Pool and stuff like that. But this is all of the scenes that we need for this arc. And there's quite a few. You know, if we look at some of these areas, like the Lost Soul, there's a few of them. They're all ones we've used before. The Strahd siblings, there was only 3 scenes, and they were all ones we'd used before. The Lady Watched Us, because there's so much role-playing and back and forth, there's not that many scenes, but this is loads. Because you've got 2 towns, 2 different towns with a number of locations as well as the journey. So there's loads for this one. Hence, really long video just going through it and why I didn't want to do everything on screen. So I need to finish off the Baron's one, of course. I need to do some stuff with the Blessed Pool here. And just put some bits in. I'm not sure if that scaling is quite right. It looks stretched, doesn't it? Does that look stretched to you? It does to me. But I'll have a little look at that anyway. I've already built the Abbey, so I've put all of the walls in, and because it's got multiple layers, you can see that I've done that as one of those tiled kind of maps. I have put in a fireplace down here, and if I chuck a person in, any old person, chuck a guard in, you should be able to hear that fireplace. Sounds quite quiet on my screen. So I've put a couple of sounds in the thing, but I've got the Abbey kind of ready to go. So it's a few details and stuff to finish off. If you think I've missed anything in particular, or you're kind of like, hey, you could do this, would be really nice for that scene, drop it in the comments, let me know. That would be really, really appreciated. As always, do read the comments, because you guys often have much better suggestions than the way I'm doing it. I read every single comment. As you're probably aware, I do reply to almost everything as well, but I do read them. So leave your ideas in the comments, really helps out, gives other people ideas. They may want to do it a different way, even if I don't. Fantastic, really, really good. And of course, hit that like button. Once we have finished building this, I will be doing a new release of the pack to include all of these maps as well, so the whole of this section, so you'll have the whole of Act 1 and Act 2 ready to go, and then we'll move on to Act 3. Just a reminder, of course, if you wish to become a channel member, you can. There is a link in the description. You don't need to at all, but if you want to support what I do, you can. And there's also a Ko-fi link in the description as well, if you wanted to again, just show your appreciation for what we do here. But of course, if you haven't got the pennies to spend, or you've only got a few pennies to spend, support the guys who write the who write all of your add-on modules and stuff like that, okay? Because those are the ones that are doing some real hard work there. But yeah, just give options. Occasionally people say, how can I support you? Well, in the description, there you go. Thank you very much. It's been a long one. Appreciate you all. Love you. And if I don't speak to you guys, or you don't watch a video beforehand, Merry Christmas, because it's about a week and a half away from me making this video. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you soon.